Let's welcome in Brett Goode right now to the program. Talk kind of the same thing we're talking about with Clay this morning, part of the Henderson Phillips Employers Solution teams. Brett, I wonder from your perspective, and I know you didn't have to deal with this as a player or as a teammate, but as much, I say you didn't deal with it, but as much. Tampering in college football is something that I think we're going to see a rise in with the one-time transfer rule. I know Sam Pittman was asked about it in a recent ESPN article about a week or so ago. And how do you think the one-time transfer rule is going to help or hurt Arkansas football, especially if tampering's involved?
Well, I think it hurts all football. I think it, even professionally, they talk about the tampering period, and as soon as that date hits, everybody's got their contracts done. So it definitely happens across the board. It's not something that is beneficial for all the teams, and you're not ever going to prove it unless some kid gets their feelings hurt and they come out and talk about it. So you're going to have a lot of people that are unloyal and trying to make a move, and now that they're even paying these kids. So, there could be something else on the line now with the transfer and pay them for their name and likeness that even makes it even that much greater.
Mm-hmm. With Arkansas, just talking about this with Clay, the in-person visits and stuff, and you had teammates that were from all over. And, Texas, Florida. You had guys that you played with that weren't just in Arkansas. When they initially got to campus, whether it was for their official visit or just deciding, I'm going to go here without even coming, what did you see from them and how kind of blown away they were from what Fayetteville, Arkansas, particularly the now new football facilities, have to offer?
I think at the beginning there, you have a lot of guys come from bigger cities in there and they want to do something, that we didn't have at the time. Now, obviously, Fayetteville's got a lot more going on. The facilities are a lot better. From even whenever I played, which is great. And so I think that they're able to recruit a little bit easier because there's more to offer to these kids coming in. And, just like they're talking about, their mom, now you get them on campus and they understand that they're going to be okay. And it's a big city vibe in a little bit community, so everybody kind of feels like home. So I think it's a little bit easier now. But the biggest thing was a shock to a lot of people of just not knowing that what Fayetteville had to offer.
Brett Goode with this part of the Henderson Phillips Employer Solutions team. Brett, this 18-game NFL schedule that could be future starting in 2025, something that was being widely reported as of yesterday, and also potentially playing in Germany. We'll start with the schedule first. Do you think this is good for the National Football League if they move it to 18 regular season games?
I think so, because you're going to take away those preseason games. Everybody always complained about how boring the preseason games are. So from the money-wise, that's good. But the other problem is you're going to have a lot of guys that are not going to go in that undrafted free agent market, especially, that don't have the third and fourth preseason game to make a team. We had so many guys, those last games, they played the entire game, and they made a roster spot. And you're going to have a lot of those guys not making that now if they do, move up to that 18 game, but they're also going to have to expand the roster if they do. And I think, they're in talks to doing that because that's a long season to be able to play that entire time. And I think you're going to have a lot of divisions won a lot earlier. So you kind of have both sides. If the divisions won, people start sitting people, it's not good, but then it's also a little bit better than that preseason football game.
Brett, I've never been to Germany, but that's one of the places that Peter Keene was reporting that they might eventually move an NFL game to. We've got one in London, got one in Mexico, and now Munich, Germany could be the next place starting in 2022 or 2023. Just talking about moving it to 18 games. Is it good for the sport? Now, I'm not talking about the global just expansion, but is it good for players and just the NFL to play these games outside of the United States?
I think so. That's one thing that I wish I would have got to do and be a part of. You see those games, and then you hear those teams after that game. They spend their bye week over there for 3 or 4 days. They have their family over there, so you almost get like a little vacation kind of built into the season and kind of decompress a little bit. But because we were in such a hot market, nobody wanted to get up in the away game to play Green Bay. And so, that's what teams kind of battle back and forth. So I never got to experience it, but everybody that I talked to loved it, and they had a great time because, you're bringing this new atmosphere over. And, we forget that soccer is a very popular sport in all these other countries, and so they know how to pack a stadium, and if we can continue to get that, I think it just expands that sport a little bit more.
Brett, speaking of packing stadiums, we were discussing earlier in the program just kind of the thing we've missed the most in quarantine. I know that's what a lot of our listeners responded is like going to a full Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium, going to a full Bud Walton Arena. Is there something in particular that stands out that you missed the most during quarantine that was kind of stricken from you to a extent?
I think, like you said, watching it, I was disappointed this last year because, our basketball team was good. Our football team was won some conference games, and I think there was so much excitement around it that we would have filled that stadium. And I hate it for the kids and the coaches, but also hate it for the fans because you want to jump in when you start getting that success. You've been riding along this entire time, the ups and downs, and when you start getting hot, you want to enjoy it. And so not being able to go to those stadiums, like you said, that's depressing because you're like, okay, well, we hope we are this year so that we can actually enjoy that moment again. And I think that we will continue to get better and be able to enjoy that experience from here on out for a little while.
I'm right there with you. Now, Arkansas is in the midst. We've talked about Kevin Kopps a little bit this morning, Brett, and he's up for not just the Dick Hauser Trophy, but the Golden Spikes Award given to the best player in college baseball. Andrew Benintendi won it back in 2015. Now, you played alongside a guy in Darren McFadden that was one of the best, in my opinion, the best in 2006 in college football. If Kevin Kopps doesn't win the Golden Spikes Award or the Dick Hauser Trophy, is that, what's the word? Is that unfair? Like, do you feel like he deserves it this year after the season he had, and similar to maybe what Darren had in 2006?
I do, and it's just like Darren not being able, to get that Heisman, and then it would be like, why? Because he was the best player in college football at that time, across all sports, and I think Kopps is the same thing in baseball. I mean, like that award goes to that person, and you just look at how dominant he has been and how consistent. Now I know he's given up, a few runs of late to Tennessee, but I mean what he's done this year is nobody else has done it, and that's impressive to watch. And you're sitting there as an Arkansas fan saying, okay, I hope you can do this for 4 more weeks because things could be magical for us. And so you hope he gets that award. But at the end of the day, I think he'd rather have a national championship than an individual award.
Brett, are you going to the regional this weekend and hopefully the super regionals next weekend? Is that on your agenda?
I'm going to try to go to the super regional, but I'm enjoying the getting ready to tailgate again and just trying to enjoy the fan experience of being able to watch a lot of baseball, and so that's it's really exciting this time of year.
It doesn't get much better than that. Brett Goode, former Razorback, former Green Bay Packer, now part of the Henderson Phillips Employer Solutions team. By the way, a really good golfer. If you want to go golf with them and get him on your scramble team, you'll wind up at the top of the leaderboard as we did this past week. Brett, you got a lot of things you guys are offering right now: employee benefits, health insurance, staffing management solutions. They give you a call at 479-651-2292. You can talk all things insurance. You could also talk a little football and golf as well.
That's right. We can do anything you need to do. We can kind of go up and down the list, see if there's anything tax beneficial or whether you're covered enough for for your PNC or your employee benefits. So we can do anything. If you want to talk football, I was talking to a guy called me the other day just from this, and we talked football for about 30 minutes. So I enjoy doing it all.
And I can personally attest as a guy that comes on this show on a weekly basis, and as a guy that will listen to the show and on occasion will play golf with. Now, I say play in a very delicate sense. Brett's a great guy. So, again, give him a call at 479-651-2292, 651-2292. That's Brett Goode, former Razorback, former Super Bowl champion, part of the Henderson Phillips Employer Solutions team. Brett, enjoy the rest of your week, buddy. Hopefully we get to watch some good baseball this weekend, and we'll talk prior to the Supers next week.
All right, sounds good. Have a good one, guys.
All right, you too, buddy. Always good to catch up with Brett.